after years of me being called a racist for saying that men coming to this country from certain other countries are more likely to commit crimes because of cultural differences, we finally have the data to prove it. And this data has been hidden from us for years. People have been requesting that the Home Office tell us what is going on for so long. What is the link between immigration and crime? And they have been refusing to tell us the truth. But now the Centre for Migration Control has successfully been able to do some Freedom of Information requests, and we have finally learnt that Brits are way, way less likely to commit crimes than people from certain countries. And I want to also specifically, after we look at this data here, show you specifically the likelihood of Afghans and Eritreans committing sexual offences. It will terrify you. And bear in mind that Afghans are very often, in the stats we get each year, the number one nationality coming to this country on boats. And remember, the ones that come on boats, we cannot even vet them, right? We don't know who they are. As long as they can get on a boat from northern France, they're pretty unlikely to ever get sent back. It is shocking stuff, and you really do have to ask, why has this been hidden from us for so long? I was ringing the alarm bells when we had stats coming out in Germany, in Italy, and other places where we were clearly seeing a very, very strong trend between certain nationalities and certain crimes. Yet people kept on saying to me, oh, you can't say that people from Afghanistan are more likely to commit rapes against women. There's no evidence to suggest that there is any more likelihood of people who come here on boats to commit crimes. What a racist thing to say, okay? No, the data is very, very clearly showing now that I was right to say what I said. I have never said that every single person from Afghanistan is going to come to Britain and rape a woman. I simply said it was more likely that they would commit a crime than your average Brit. And turns out it's a heck of a lot more likely than the average Brit. I want to show you this first because I feel like this just visually really shows the difference between the tendencies of Brits and those from certain other countries. Brits are far more law-abiding citizens than people who are foreign nationals. So let's have a look at this. So this is, conviction rate per 10,000 people in this nationality's population, okay, in Britain, right? So if we look at violence, look, we've got Congo, Somalia, Afghanistan, Iraq, Gambia. Look at the length of those blue bars compared to that teeny tiny little red bar that is the UK. So that means that in the UK, 16 out of 10,000 people between 2021 and 2023 were convicted for a violent crime, right? Whereas Congo, 187, Somalia, 129, Afghanistan, 102, and the list goes on. This is absolutely shocking. Then we see then we've got sexual crimes. Again, you see UK on a teeny little number 6 there, okay? I know that the bars coming out do not look quite as long compared to the graph at the top, but then when you realise that UK on there is 6 compared to 16, which is nearly 3 times the length of the UK, but for violence it's 16, and then for sexual it's 6. You see there's a huge difference there, and we're going to look deeper at the stats on sexual crimes and sexual assaults in a minute, and you're going to be absolutely gobsmacked. And then theft. I mean, just look at the length of that bar for Algeria. The other countries there, absolutely astonishing. Morocco, 226. Romania, 132. Congo, 130. Chad, 120. Okay? It is not racist to say that people who are foreign nationals are more likely to commit crimes than your average Brit. And every single time I make that point, someone says, you're suggesting that every single person that comes from abroad is a criminal. No, I'm not. That's a complete lie and a complete misconstruction of what I've said. I always tread very carefully when I talk about this and make sure that I am very clear that I'm just saying the likelihood of your typical Afghani, for example, to commit a sexual assault is much higher than that of your average Brit. And you know what? It turns out it's not just a bit higher, just 20 times higher. 20 times higher. Afghans and Eritreans were more than 20 times more likely to account for sexual offence convictions than British citizens, according to the data that we have had given to us by the Ministry of Justice as a consequence of this Freedom of Information request, right? That is absolutely shocking. Now, if you look at the Women's Peace and Security Index, Afghanistan is ranked last in the world for its treatment of women. Why is it any surprise that people who come to Britain from Afghanistan are more likely than your typical Brit to treat women poorly? But they say, oh no, all of the ones that come across on boats are really, really good guys who they're coming here because they're escaping the horrible views about women in their country that they disagree with. I'm sorry, but even if they disagree with the most extreme views on women in their country, they have grown up in a completely different culture to us. They've grown up in a culture where the man of the house is in charge. Women are not expected to, work and get an education necessarily and have all these freedoms that we have in the UK. It's a different mindset. Do they, in their culture, do they really know what consent is? Do they have that kind of culture around sex? Probably not. Probably not. And we know that in many of these countries that, getting married and having sexual relations with teenage girls who are below the British age of consent is normal to them. Okay? It's a different mindset. It's a different culture. It's a different world. Yet, if you ring the alarm bells about the impact that immigration can have on the safety of women and girls, everyone calls you a racist. And the so-called feminists on the left are silent because those so-called feminists are also on the, refugees welcome marches, holding up their signs, saying that we need to have open borders and let every single every single Tom, Dick and Harry that wants to come to UK, we've got to let them in, and that none of them could possibly be bad guys. I mean, the double standards are just unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable. And it says here foreign nationals were 71% more likely than Brits to be responsible for sex crime convictions. Okay, that's also pretty shocking. Of course, not quite as shocking as that specific figure for Afghans and Eritreans. Unbelievable. And the thing is, I really feel for the women in Afghanistan. Okay, they're going through a horrific time at the moment. I mean, under the Taliban, they're now not even allowed windows on their house. They can't speak outside. They can't do anything. They have to be completely covered head to toe, eyes and everything covered. And now they can't even have windows in case a man sees them, right? It's horrible. But who are we saving from Afghanistan? The only people that we're saving are the men. Because the men are the one that arrive on the boats. Now, it's much harder for women to make those dangerous journeys, okay? So this isn't just because the women don't want to leave. They want to leave, trust me. They absolutely want to leave, right? But if we're going to save some people in the world, why don't we actually save those women, right? Why don't we save those women? Why are we prioritising, our taxpayer money in this country to save the men when we know that some of them are going to go on and, put in danger the women and girls in this country? I do not think that we should be endangering women and girls in this country for this, just so that, and also all the other impacts, like, we've got nightmares with our housing crisis and the NHS and everything. Why do we have to ruin our country, destroy our public services, mess up our housing system, make women and girls unsafe, just so that we can save every single person from the world? I'm sorry, but we are not a charity. Okay, I've had enough of it. And they've been leading in the Telegraph on this headline that around a quarter of sexual offences are committed by migrants. And so this is the breakdown here. So you see that 23% here. So the proportion of convictions by nationality status. Now they've said they've included in that both foreign nationals and unknown nationality. So they've noted in the article in the Telegraph that unknown nationality typically means they are a foreign national, right? Like it could not be identified as a Brit, but they were not sure exactly what country they had come from. So hence they say up to 1 in 4. So we cannot confirm that light blue part of the bar 100% none of them were Brits, but we're pretty certain that 23% of sexual offences are committed by foreign nationals. It's pretty shocking stuff, ladies and gentlemen, and I just want to know, when are the feminists going to step up? When are the so-called feminists going to step up and say, we need to protect women and girls in this country? And the thing is, right, is what they do with these hotels for illegal migrants is they will put them in some small little community that was once a lovely, nice, quiet, safe place to live, and they'll just dump hundreds of them at once into some small little village. Just a load of men, no idea who they are, no idea what their backgrounds are. As I said, a heck of a lot of the time they are coming from Afghanistan, which is now seems 20 times more likely to commit sexual offences than your typical Brit. Dumping those into communities, we've had them hanging out outside school gates, pestering young girls. I'm sorry, the women of this country and the girls of this country deserve better. They did not ask for this, yet the Home Office dumps all of these people in hotels into communities with no notice, no consultation of the community whatsoever. It's an absolute joke. Anyway, I'm Chloe Dobbs. Thank you very much for watching this video. Make sure you subscribe to Reasoned if you're not already.